Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Adam Burke from BangTheBook.com coming to you with my Frivy League, Ivy League picks for Friday, March 8th in the college basketball betting world. Again, keep in mind, the Ivy League, not one of the stronger conferences for a lot of people out there. These would just be half-unit plays to give yourself some interest here for tonight's card. One thing I do want to mention regarding yesterday's Thursday 3-pack, I wound up having to do several takes of the video on my laptop, not capturing the entire recording several times over, wound up having to do it with a different laptop. And by that point in time, the line had moved on the Illinois State game from -4 into -5, -5.5 range. So hopefully you got in on it very, very early. I know by the time I actually got the video edited and posted, a lot of places were up to 5.5. Of course, the Redbirds win that game by 5. So I do apologize for that. Hopefully we can do better here today with this Friday Ivy League format. Over at BangTheBook.com, lots of great stuff going on right now, including my 30 MLB season win total picks and previews. We've also got daily content from Kyle Hunter, Parker Michaels, Admir Algic, Jonathan Willis, Corey Pabst, Alan Moody. A lot of people doing great things in the college basketball and the NBA betting arenas. Also, Big Ten Watto doing a phenomenal job with his tennis previews this season. I've got some NASCAR stuff up for this weekend. And, of course, we keep it all over at BangTheBook.com. Don't forget to check out Bang the Book Radio as well. Good show coming your way today. 3 segments, including a look at what's going on with Prop Swap. Also talked UFC with Christian Pina, then gave you my thoughts on the American League Central. So you can check that out on Bang the Book Radio and find the segments right here on our Bang the Book YouTube page. All right, let's get into a look at the Ivy League here for Friday, March 8th. Last weekend of regular season play for the Ivy League. Next weekend is the conference tournament. Top 4 in this conference make it into that. Do have some jockeying for position here for that number 4 seed in that conference tournament. Touch on that in a second here. As we start by looking at the first game on the board. In fact, this is a 4 o'clock Eastern time tip-off between Brown and Princeton. Princeton, 3.5-point favorite. Total 136.5 for this one. These are the top 2 defensive teams in the Ivy League. Princeton is locked into the Ivy League Conference tournament. Brown is not. Brown needs a win, and Penn and Cornell to lose today. Penn plays Yale. Cornell's a big home dog to Harvard. Brown does play Penn tomorrow, so if they don't take care of business here tonight and lock up that berth, they will have a crack at it tomorrow against Penn. But this is really the only race going on here in the Ivy League for that final spot. Yeah, there's a race for the regular season title, but those teams already in the conference tournament. When you look at this game here, Princeton is 63rd in adjusted defensive efficiency, according to Bart Torvik, but really across the board, Brown is the better defensive team. They're actually 64th in adjusted defensive efficiency, but they're 53rd in effective field goal percentage, whereas Princeton is 108th. They're 48th in turnover percentage on defense, whereas Princeton's 240th, and Brown is 13th in three-point percentage defense. Princeton's 72nd. Brown's also a better offensive team based on effective field goal percentage, free throw rate, and 2-point percentage and 3-point percentage offense. So, Brown really overall the better team here based on the metrics that we're seeing for the full season. They did play a little bit of an easier schedule than Princeton in the non-conference, though, so you want to keep that in mind. But Devin Kennedy remains out for Princeton. He had 24 points the first time these two teams played. And, in fact, Princeton lost that game at home, or excuse me, on the road against Brown. So, when you look at this this season here for Princeton, they lost to Harvard twice. They lost their one game to Yale. They lost to Brown. Princeton's had a hard time with the top of the Ivy League here this season. Brown tends to play well against pretty much everybody because they're so solid defensively. I'm going to take the Bears tonight. They're plus 3.5 against Princeton. It's number 851 in the rotation order. Game 867, 868. Dartmouth at Columbia. Columbia 3.5-point favorite here. Total 141.5. The side moving down for this game was 4, now 3.5, and the total coming up for this one as well. These are the 2 last place teams in the Ivy League. You've got really nothing on the line, and a lot of times when there's nothing on the line, you do see a lot of points scored in those games. When games are important, teams value their possessions, they play some defense. When games aren't important, a lot of guys looking to pad stats, get some numbers, stuff like that. So, I think this is a game where you probably do want to start by looking at the over for this one. Also here, too, you've got a Dartmouth team 1-10 in close games this season. In conference play, they have losses by 5, 2, 21, 3, 3 in overtime, 3 in overtime again, 1, 18, 3, 1 in overtime, and 14. The 2 blowout losses, the 21 and the 18-pointers, those are from Yale. The 14-point loss was Penn last weekend. So, for this Dartmouth team, they've been close. They've just been on the wrong side of variance a lot, which could be a reason why this line is moving down, looking for some regression to the mean there, especially against a Columbia team that has not played particularly well in conference play. Columbia, though, has won 3 of their last 4, beating Penn, Brown, and Yale. So they're hitting their stride a little bit here late in the season. So I don't really have an opinion on the side, but I am looking for there to be some points scored in this game. Again, when you get 2 teams that aren't playing for anything at this time of the year, usually that lack of effort shows up on the defensive end of the floor. These teams will be looking to light up the scoreboard, will be looking to score some points. So we'll go over game 867, 868 between Dartmouth and Columbia. Game 871, 872 on the card here. Harvard, a 6-point favorite, total 136 against Cornell. Harvard's looking for some road revenge here. They lost at home earlier this season because the night before they played a triple overtime game against Columbia. So they were completely gassed. It was Harvard's worst offensive performance of the season from a points per possession standpoint. Now you've got a Cornell team here with 5 straight losses. In their last 4 games, .902, .781, .879, .715 points per possession. Cornell really struggling in the offensive end of the floor. Harvard with some road revenge here. You want to go into the conference tournament in decent form, and for Tommy Amaker's team, hoping to get that conference regular season title. So I'm going to take Harvard tonight minus the 6. Just for Cornell, they're on the fringes of making it into that final spot, but at this point in time, they'd have to leapfrog both Penn and Brown to get there. I don't see that happening. I think Harvard's the better bet here tonight. Finally, game 873, 874. Yale on the road at Penn. Penn a 1-point favorite, total 148. According to the watchability metrics over at BartTorvik.com, this is the best game of the night. So we'll see if it lives up to the billing. Yale won the first game by 13 points, but Yale's not in great form right now. They've lost 2 of their last 3. They lost at home on senior night to Columbia last weekend. And Penn is a better team than their record would indicate. They're 1-3 in 4 overtime games here in Ivy League play. They've got more to play for. They are inconsistent, as we know. But Penn's really cracking down defensively. Over their last 3 games, .781, .882, .77 points per possession allowed. Those are their 3 best marks in conference play so far. This is an important game, I think, really for both teams. For Yale, because they'd certainly like to get that conference regular season title and be the number 1 seed in the conference tournament if they can be. And for Penn, obviously, they're fighting for their conference tournament lives. And with Penn here on the season, they've actually slowed their pace down a little bit late in the year here. They did slow Yale down a little bit in the first game. That game was played to 70 possessions. Yale more like 73 possessions on average per game this season. And Penn doesn't want a shootout here. You do not want to have to outscore Yale because it's very, very hard to do. So I think when you look at Yale here, also second in the conference in 3-point percentage defense, first in 2-point percentage defense, they can play a little bit of defense as well. And I think people just sort of look at them as an offensive-minded team. I'm taking the under 148 tonight. Penn slowing the tempo down late in the year. Yale better defensively than people give them credit for. So my 4 looks in the Ivy tonight. And again, look for half-unit plays on these. We'll take Brown, number 851, plus the 3.5. Dartmouth and Columbia, 867, 868, over the total of 141. Harvard, minus 6, number 871. And then under 148 between Yale and Penn, 873, 874. I'm Adam Burke for BangTheBook.com.